I know what you're thinking. Oh god, not another one. Well, either that or, thank god, screw NetEase. I feel as though either of those are realistically acceptable responses to this news. Now, don't get me wrong, I was excited for Project Ragnarok, legitimately excited. It was a Norse-inspired cross-platform MMORPG with an endless budget, not the typical Chinese-themed MMOs that typically come out of China. The single trailer released for the game initially, while in its entirety a pre-rendered cinematic, despite the developers claiming the contrary, looked good. The following year, a full in-game trailer was released that showcased the world, flight, the combat, and the severe issues that they were having with regards to FPS. And then, nothing. For the last year, there hasn't been a single peep out of NetEase. Quick shout out to our patrons over on Patreon. This allows you to directly support us if you're interested. Every patron will have their name appear at the beginning of every single YouTube video, and you'll be immortalized in the MMO genre forever. Project Ragnarok is advertised to be a next generation AAA budget cross-platform action MMORPG that was initially slated to be released all the way back in 2021. Well, within China, at least. They had expressed their interest in releasing the game globally. That would provide them their largest return on investment after all. A full in-game trailer was released earlier in 2021 to show off exactly how much progress had been made up until that point, and likely to reassure investors that the game's progress was nearing completion. However, as many interested gamers noticed while watching the trailer, this didn't seem remotely close to being in a ready, playable state. The game had severe FPS issues, the world seemed empty, the combat didn't look at all reminiscent of the AAA quality that they had been promising us. Hell, if I'm being entirely honest with you all, Genshin Impact, Punishing Grey Raven, and the upcoming Tower of Fantasy and Wuthering Waves games have substantially better looking action combat, and none of which are auto lock-on, auto combat at all, and their budgets are a fraction of what Project Ragnarok was touting. Now, Googling around, not only has there been no active communication with players or companies outside of China, but there has been none within it either. 2 years have passed since this MMO was announced. 1 year has passed since this was confirmed to be releasing, and here they are, pulling a Blue Protocol on us. The only difference being, Bandai Namco are still openly recruiting for Blue Protocol. Back in 2021, NetEase confirmed that they would be holding an official beta test for the game. A limited number of players would be able to pre-register for and subsequently access the version of the game that they had been actively working on. That pre-registration is, interestingly enough, still open, meaning technically you can still pre-register for the limited beta test that was going to take place all the way back in 2021. Reading through comments on TapTap, I've noticed a very common theme amongst Chinese players. They hate the fact that NetEase are catering the game to us Western players. Scrolling through, I came across various comments stating that they should, instead of focusing on this Nordic theme present, they should focus on Chinese culture because, you know, there aren't already enough Chinese games with Chinese aesthetics. Then I came across another one claiming that there needs to be more Chinese elements found within the game, that this game doesn't need Western elements at all. These kinds of comments are the type of feedback that NetEase are getting. They're being told by their community that potential players found within the game's region of origin do not like the aesthetic focus and would rather be another Age of Wushu, another Moonlight Blade, another Swords of Legends Online or Justice Online. Yet, if history has taught us anything, it's that every single one of these Asian-inspired games have done horrendously over in the West, and the West is a key part of NetEase's strategy for expansion, as is the same with Tencent. Project Ragnarok has made barely any progress over the last 2 years, if any at all. We don't know, like, realistically, how could we? Their developer team is 100% uncommunicative. One thing is for certain though, this game is not releasing this year. This game is not releasing next year. And if it ever does release, which is doubtful at this juncture in the middle of 2022. The Chinese player base is not going to be very positively receptive of it. Now, if you're looking for a list of MMOs that are definitely slated to be releasing this year, well, hopefully, anyway, this video will probably be of interest to you. Or this one over here for gacha games. Both are good, honestly.